One last time. Welcome everyone to the final post-race chinners of 2021. Dun, 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 dun. Hello everyone, how are we doing? I was being dramatic with the intro, right? It didn't really work that well. Welcome to the stream, people. How we doing? Thank you all for coming. Are we over it yet? Is the hair doing all right now? It's not bad. Not bad. Been better. Wow. The final post-race chat of the year of 2021. Now, first and foremost, if you're going to be a knobhead in the chat, then I suggest you take this opportunity to piss off. If you're going to be reasonable and have reasonable discussion in the chat, you can stay. Okay? Just putting it out there. Okay? It's all very emotional, I understand. Okay? But ultimately, what happened. It is sport. And we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it. Of course, no one wanted to see it end in the way it ended. Okay? The result, you might want Max to win, you might want Lewis to win. But no one wanted it to, you know what I mean, end in the way it did. But it did. And we're going to talk about why. And everything on its process through. Thank you, Folha, mate, for the 50 euros. Folha, mate. Thank you. I'm well. You are very sad, not just for Hamilton, but for the whole sport. The way they manufactured the last lap just for entertainment and TV ratings made me sad as a fan of the sport, because it's a sport I love above all else. And you know what? Like, whether you're a Max fan and happy about Max winning the title, or a Lewis fan, or neither, I think we can all share in... there's still plenty of common ground here that we can talk about, because ultimately, if we're talking about things that are for the good of the sport, we have to take the names of the drivers away, take the nationalities of the drivers away, and look at things objectively. You know, it's like when we talk about VAR in football. You can't be pro VAR when it goes your way and then anti VAR when it doesn't. You either are or you aren't. And it's one of them, isn't it? It's one of them. But we will get into it. Don't you worry. It's gonna be one of the. This is gonna be a long stream. Oh, I don't know how long this stream's gonna be. I'm just gonna talk for as long as I fancy talking, to be honest. But there you go. But yeah, thank you all for coming. Got 1,600 of you here already. Thank you, Draco, as well, for the $5. What's your message to the new fans that are turned off by this season and might not come back? Well, I mean, look. Ultimately, this season's been an incredible season. The pros have vastly outweighed the cons, and this has to be a learning moment for the sport. This has to be, you know, as fans, I think we should be vocal for, you know, the things to change, because this isn't an isolated incident. Let's just remember that, all right? This isn't an isolated incident. There's been issues continuously for the last couple of seasons, in my opinion, with the way the sport has been officiated, with the way the sport, the consistency, etc., of the way it's been managed. And you know what I mean? Like, I think this isn't an isolated incident, but at the same time, it doesn't mean it hasn't been an incredible season. It doesn't mean we've not seen some amazing battling, some amazing driving, some incredible results, some incredible winners, some incredible podiums. But we have to question when these things, because it's all well and good when these, you know, drivers are collecting each other on track. Ultimately, yesterday, in terms of the way things turned out, Max and Lewis did nothing wrong. But like I said on my live stream, I didn't even remember saying it, but obviously watching it back afterwards and clipping that up, choreographed. That's what I said on the stream. And certainly, when you look at the rules, it feels that way. But yeah, we'll get into it. Thank you, Dakota, as well, for the $5, mate. Here to celebrate the big story of yesterday. Yuki Tsunoda being 0.6 of a second away from getting the podium. It's so true. It's so true. Thank you, Dakota, mate. Buzzing for Yuki. We'll talk all about him as well. Don't you worry. Because that's the thing. Because so much went on at the end of that race. I didn't even know Carlos Sainz had finished P3 until after I finished the stream. I had no idea. Who'd finished P3. I still thought Perez was in the race because my head was just scrambled. So yeah, that's pretty mad. Thank you, Pen F1 as well for the £2. Checo 100% safe Max's race. Tell you what, Checo and Fernando. If you want to, if I know that Man United are struggling defensively. I think if they sign Perez and Alonso, then their defensive is going to be top tier, mate. Thank you, Mocha Green, as well for the €4.99. Fernando said later in the media pen, no safety car, Lewis wins, safety car, Max wins, and it's luck. I agree with that. I mean, I think everyone agrees with that. That's just fact, of course, but yeah. We will get into it. And thank you, Alex, as well for the $5. I'm glad Max won, but the FIA left a bad taste in my mouth. You're not the only one, mate. You're not the only one. Thank you, Adam, as well for the $5. Do you think since Charlie Whiting passed away, the FIA got worse with the rule? Look, obviously Massey is the new Charlie Whiting, but he's not the only. He's not just him. I know he's the race director, but there is a team there. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. But certainly, is it a coincidence that there never seemed to be this level of consistent issue with the officiating of the sport when Charlie was in charge? Is that a coincidence? Is that the way I feel? I think since his tragic passing, I think for probably a multitude of reasons, the sport hasn't been officiated to the same standard. And because let's remember, like Michael Massey and these people in charge, they're not rookies, they're not novices. They took that position on and they've got years of experience. It's not that. You should be able to, find someone who is capable of taking that role on and maintaining higher standards. And it doesn't seem to be what we've seen. But anyway, thank you, Moya as well for the €2. Ollie is out, but can we get Checo in? That's what I mean. I'm just saying. Thank you, Cap, for the $5. I feel like if the FIA was a bit more consistent this year, Max would have won the championship regardless, but Lewis would win the race. I mean, I don't disagree. I don't fundamentally disagree. Thank you again, Cap, as well for another $5. But it would be completely justify the legitimacy of an epic season. Most people say it has been, but would it? But it would completely justify the legitimacy. I know what you mean. I know what you mean, Cap. I appreciate the support, mate. And also thank you, Pen, for joining Friends of Tommo. Right, let's get into it. Tommo said it himself. He wants Max to win. Did I? When did I say that? I didn't really care, but I'm happy for Max. That's been my consistent, the noises I've been consistently making throughout this second half of the season anyway. Right, okay, let's start with race rating. What do you mean I just said it? What did I just say? Do you mean when I was responding to someone's... I'm happy for Max winning. I didn't really care either way, to be honest. But yeah, whatever. Race rating, please. Race rating. Out of 10, what are we saying? 9s, 8s, 6s, 0s. This is another one of them where, because it was steeped in controversy, look, I'm rating off of on an entertainment front. You know what I mean? Thank you, Smackback, for the $4.49. Yes, Max. Long time no see, Tommo. Do you think Merck will get the appeal? If they overturn the decision, it will honestly be such a it's embarrassing enough, really, what happened. But it will be even more so to overturn it. What I hope is that it's not overturned, but there is a serious shake-up at the top of the people in charge, because that can't be allowed to happen again. Absolutely not. But yeah, okay, interesting. And thank you, Mattia, for the €2. When are you going to react to your 2021 predictions? Might have filmed that video today. Maybe I'll film that video and realised I hadn't recorded my audio and then actually record it again. Maybe. Who knows? I've given it a 8 out of 10. Because it was dramatic and entertaining. Did I like the way it turned out in terms of the way the race ended? No, but it was very entertaining. It's the final race of the season, 2021. It went down to the final lap. You know, all of those things in isolation, you think makes a great race, but it had to lose points because of the way it turned out in the end. Big Sag. But yeah, it's just frustrating. It's frustrating that it had to end that way. Because I said it before, I say it again. If Lewis deserved to win the race 100%, but like this race in isolation, clearly the quickest driver out there. Lewis didn't put a foot wrong all race. But I think Max deserved the championship when you look at over 22 races. That's my thought on it anyway. Thank you, Tyler, as well, for the $3. Mercedes is aborting its appeal. Really? I'm not sure about that. But yeah, that's what I think so anyway. And I think we can all agree on that. Look, if it had been, it's one of them. If the shoe's on the other foot, if Max is dominating the race, winning, and then there's a safety car, and you know the rules are not followed by the book, and you know Lewis gets fresh soft tyres, and then Lewis takes Max at the end, then Max fans are going to feel begrudged as Lewis fans are going to feel right now, and rightly so. You know what I mean? It's one of them. I tweeted this yesterday. I don't think the FIA is biased towards any particular driver. I really don't. Like throughout the course of this season, I haven't seen results going more in favour of one or the other. What they are biased towards is maximising the entertainment of the sport over following the rule book, and that's where I think I have a problem. You know what I mean? Again, it's like I've said this before. You can't not send a player off in the first 5 minutes of a Champions League final for a studs up tackle because it will ruin the game. Red's a red. You know what I mean? And so I think that they are biased towards maximising entertainment, seemingly, and whether that's pressure from Liberty, I don't know. Maybe it is. But yeah, not great. Thank you, Benji, for the £2. I left the race feeling like I don't want to watch anymore. I mean, I'll be honest. I didn't leave the race feeling like I don't want to watch any more F1. I left the race disappointed. Obviously, I can understand if you're a Lewis fan, particularly, you're going to come away from that feeling like very, very, very hard done by, and rightly so. You know, I think obviously on the day again, I think Max deserved. Over the 22 races, I think he deserved the championship. But on that day, Lewis 100% deserved to win that race, and should have won that race and would have won the title. So, you know what I mean? It's one thing when bad luck comes down to like tyre failures, like we saw for Max in Baku, when bad luck comes down from other drivers making mistakes. Again, like, you know, Bottas, Stroll, bowling balls in Hungary. And if it's on, you know, on again Silverstone, prime example. Like, yes, Lewis goes on to win that race, and Max DNFs and hits the barrier. But Lewis is lucky that he didn't also like they're going about 170, 80 mile an hour. I don't even know through that corner, side by side. Like these cars are known for being fragile. You know, Lewis was very lucky not to DNF that race. You know, it's all well and good when it's on track and it's like, you know, you're creating these cars and things go wrong, you know, wheel guns don't get tightened properly, all of these factors, right? But when it's a human decision that's where it's like, it's more difficult to take. Like when Max's tyre went at Baku, you know, yes, obviously you can criticise Pirelli, and I think Pirelli had a lot to answer for. Minton's barking for some reason. But also, like, at the end of the day, like, it's rubber with air inside it that failed. You know, Michael Massey made a decision, and that's where it's like, it's a human making a decision. You know, who's not a driver. You know, it's not a driving, racing decision that's being made. It's a refereeing decision, and that's where it's kind of separate. And thank you, Lithox, for the €5. I think the decision not let lap cars overtake in the first place was just as controversial as the eventual one to let them overtake. Again, you saw me. I was like, what? I was confused, and I think most people were. You know. Thank you, Michael, as well, for the £5. End comms between principals and the race director. Give each team one challenge per race to appeal directly to the stewards during the race, and that's it. That's kind of what they have in tennis, isn't it, Michael? It's like you can have a certain number of challenges. I definitely, you know, like we saw this earlier in the race when Toto was saying, Michael, don't bring out the safety car. That can't, no. That doesn't sit right with me at all. You can't have a team principal like direct, like, and I know that they're both guilty of it. Red Bull have been on the year roll like continuously throughout the season. Both teams have, because they're fighting for a world championship. I don't blame them for doing it, but it shouldn't be allowed. Like, as far as I'm concerned, it shouldn't be allowed that there can be this kind of like, press a button, Michael, don't do this, do that. Like, no, I don't like that. I don't think that's right. Whether it's Christian, whether it's Toto, whether it's Andreas, whether it's Franz, I don't care. Like, that shouldn't be a two-way thing. There should be a better system at managing that, because, you know what I mean? Like, you can't have the manager in the referee's ear roll. Like, it's not, again, the integrity of the sport. It's not good for it, in my opinion. Thank you, Big Kid, as well, for the $5. After the race, I just feel let down that it ended up the way it did. It wasn't about the car, the driver, the strategy to win the day. Again, I don't think anyone can. You can't argue with that. You know what I mean? Like, no one can argue with that. Lewis deserved to win the race. Everyone knows that. Now, obviously, does everything that deserves to happen in motorsport? No. Like, things happen. People's tires blow. People's, you know, pit stops go a cropper. Like, they're like, it feels like they're more accepted as like sport. Like, you can push a tire too far, you know, you can take it too long and it's stint. I know Baku was a bit different because there was no warning and Pirelli said it could last longer than it should have, but ultimately you can choose to push a tire longer, take that risk. It might blow, it might not, but again, this is a refereeing decision. This is a refereeing decision first and foremost. So yeah, exactly. So thank you, Robin, for the $5. I'm a big Hamilton fan, but maybe controversially, I liked the end. It was dramatic, it was controversial, it was F1 and will be remembered forever. I mean, look, obviously, in the moment, it was just like, I don't think I've said, oh my God, so many times in my life. Like, I didn't know how to feel, you know what I mean? Like, it was just adrenaline. And again, because I'm not on one side or the other, you know, I was just like, the whole race, I was like pro Max the race, because Lewis was ahead and leading and looked comfortable, and I was like, Perez, you need to hold Lewis up so Max can get close, because I want this to, I said it in the straight, I want this to go down to the final lap, and that's exactly what happened. And then obviously you're just like, oh my God, like, Max is on softs, Lewis is on hards, like, Max is going to get past unless Lewis can do something. I didn't realise, I was listening to Max's post-race interview that he did with Will Buxton. It's on the F1 YouTube channel after, and he said his leg was cramping up in that final lap, Max's, which just would have made it. I mean, I get really bad cramps in my legs. When I cramp up, Jesus Christ, the whole block can hear about it because I'm screaming like a little bitch. I tell you, honestly, I get the worst cramps, so bad. But yeah, it will be remembered forever, definitely. But probably for the wrong reasons. That's the only thing. Sorry, I'm just trying to keep up with it. You're all being very, very generous today. I do appreciate it, everyone. Thank you. You don't have to You really don't have to give me money, but I do appreciate it. Thank you, Dave, mate, for the $50. Dave, steady on, Dave. I always look at instances like this with the opposing fan, with opposing fans in the window of if the shoe was on the other foot. Yeah, okay, cool. How would you feel, or how would that have turned out how you wanted it to? Excited for Max. Thanks for a season of great coverage, Tommo. On to 2022. Thank you very much, Dave. Appreciate it. Look, you have to. With stuff like this, this is what I mean. Like, you're allowed to support whoever you want, okay? But when we're looking at these situations, if you're not like looking at things objectively, or at least trying to look at it objectively, what's the point? It's just a dishonest conversation. Like, there's not a debate to be had if you're just gonna support the decision that turned out in the favour of your driver. That's just not an honest conversation. So there's no point having it. You know what I mean? It's yeah. Tommo isn't invited Michael to his birthday party anymore. I mean, Toto, sorry. Well, my birthday's coming up fairly soon, and I won't be inviting Michael Massey. Thank you, S. Fleetly, mate, for the $5. If lap cars should be unlapped, it means the SC comes in the next lap of the end race. They've broken their own rules to get the finish they wanted. I mean, they've broken they've broken their own rules to get the most dramatic finish. I don't think there's, they wanted Max to win or they wanted Lewis to win. I think they've broken the rules to make the most exciting finish that they could think. And look, I get it. Like, you're in the moment. There's not a lot of time to make these calls, but still. Thank you, Shani, for the $5. Just hope Lewis and Max fans can have some empathy for Lewis, and also don't blame Max. The FIA is the issue here, not Red Bull. Completely agree. Couldn't have put it better myself, Shani. Thank you, Sava, as well, for the 500 RSDs. Hi, Tommo. Thank you for the Chinwags this year. Got to go now, though. Can't wait for next year. Also, don't want to watch people bicker in the donation. Look, it's going to happen, okay? I'm sorry. I don't really have any mods on the chat. So if someone's being a dick, just ignore it. You know what I mean? Don't go down to the level. Because we can have, this is what I've tried to make a platform for open and, trying to look at each incident and race, from an objective fan point of view. No one's perfect. I'm not perfect. I try my best, but it's the way I see it. Thank you again, Fleetly, mate. Have a communication to the pits that lets Massey order penalties or decisions without letting them be able to communicate back to influence. Yeah, there's definitely something along those lines. Definitely. Something along those lines I think would work a treat, where you can just it is more of a one-way communication. There is some response, but you can't just have, this nagging on the race. I know it's good drama. Like, it's good. It's one of them, isn't it? It's like, but you can't, it's entertaining when you've got, but it's just like, is it actually right? Is it right for the sport? Not just because something's entertaining, just because putting sprinklers on the track like Bernie recommended years ago, that would make the races more entertaining. Does it mean that's what we want for the sport? Obviously not. Clearly, you know what I mean? Clearly. Thank you, Diogo, for the €2. If you were in Massey's shoes, what would you have done? I think the easiest thing to say in hindsight, red flag. Then you got about four laps, maybe more. Shootout, both on soft tyres, Lewis and Max. Lewis has got more of a chance to defend. Max has still got an opportunity to attack. The cars go out in, the order that they started in, or the order that they were in. You don't have to worry about lap cars. And I've looked at the regulations, and I think there were certainly, because again, a lot of it's worded in a open to, subjectivity matter, right? I get you don't want the championship to end on the safety car. Red flag, bring everyone in, softs for everyone. It's a little sprint race at the end, like we got at Baku. And I think that's a better outcome than what we got. I mean, it's definitely a better outcome than what we got, because it gives Lewis a chance to fight. He still had the quicker package. I still think he probably would have stayed ahead. But we would have got a straight fight. We didn't in this instance. So there you go. I really can't, you lot are being mad generous today. I really can't keep up with the donos at the minute. I'll go on to the next bit and then I'll come back. I promise by the end of the stream I'll get through every single one. But I want to go on to these are the race results. I mean, there's not much more to say, is it? This is how it finished. Verstappen from Hamilton, from Sainz, from Tsunoda, from Gasly, from Bottas, Norris, Alonso, Ocon, Leclerc, Vettel, Ricciardo, Stroll, Schumacher, Perez, Latifi, Giovinazzi, Russell, Raikkonen, Mazepin didn't race because he got a positive COVID test. Yeah, I'll get back to the super chats, but I want to go through my predictions. My predictions? Not my predictions. The race has already happened. How does that work, Tommo? What are you talking about? I want to go through my driver of the weekend, struggle of the weekend, team of the weekend. As always. Oh yeah, Perez got a P15. He didn't get a not classified because he'd done enough laps. If you check on the F1 website, I know he didn't finish the race technically, but he technically got P15. So just that's to everyone there who's in the chat who's correcting me. You're actually wrong, not me. So have some of that. Right. Now, these were my takeaways from the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Yuki Tsunoda driver of the weekend. Out-qualified Pierre Gasly, his teammate for the first time ever in AlphaTauri, and finished P4. Almost podium. I love Yuki, so there's probably a bit of bias in there as well. But he drove a phenomenal race. Quality race from Yuki. Finished ahead of Pierre. And yeah, almost brought home a podium in what has been a terrible season for him, but delivered it at the end. So got to give credit where credit is due to Yuki Tsunoda. He got my my first drive of the weekend after Bahrain as well. It was of course between Yuki and Lewis, but I had to give it to my boy Tsunoda because I did. Struggle of the weekend, Valtteri Bottas. It's one of them, innit? It's like, it's a what could have been, because Valtteri qualified low down, didn't make any kind of inroads in that race whatsoever. Yuki sent a phenomenal dive bomb down the inside of Valtteri on that final lap, by the way. If you haven't seen it, find it. Tommy, WTF1 Tommy Bellingham, he shared it on Twitter, I think. What a move. Yuki Tsunoda up the inside of Valtteri Bottas. Lovely. So yeah. You got to think, like, if Bottas had delivered a good weekend where he, qualifies in that top three, keeps pace with Max and Lewis mostly, is Max able to, you've got a situation where if Valtteri has a good weekend, even if he's still like a bit slower than Lewis, he could have still been quicker than Verstappen, because that Mercedes did seem to have the pace. Wasn't able to put himself in that position. Could have been in between Max and Lewis on that restart, and then, Lewis is probably winning the top. Like, I don't want to be too hard on Valtteri, because obviously, what happened, but if he had put together a good weekend, which his weekend was looking great up until Q3. Even Q1, Q2 was looking good, and then Q3 just nowhere. And then in the race just made zero moves through the field. And he certainly didn't cost his teammate the championship, but if Bottas had been up there, it would have been a lot harder for Max to pull through with the W, you know what I mean? And also, yeah, Valtteri's had like 6 engines this year. So I know he had like an older engine, but I don't really buy the engine excuse, because, I mean, how many power units has he had? You know what I mean? It's taking the mick. There's a difference between a faulty engine and an older engine. So I don't know. There's not been like because I know Valtteri after qualifying wasn't saying anything about the engine. I know he had an older engine, but nah. Sorry, I don't. I think Bottas didn't deliver on the day or the weekend, because Bottas's pace was fine in like practice and Q1, Q2. But yeah. And then team of the weekend, AlphaTauri, Tsunoda and Gasly, P4, P5. Beautiful. Not much more to say on that. And then your winners. Of course, Kimi gets driver of the weekend. I considered not putting him there because, of course, we all know why everyone voted Kimi. But Lewis Hamilton got 17% of the vote. Max got 16. Wait, is it? Yeah. And Checo got 12%. So really, it's Hamilton, Verstappen, Perez. But 22% of you put Kimi because Kimi's a legend and his F1 journey is over. There you go. Oh yeah, what? Oh yeah, everyone's going. Oh yeah. For a second, I thought I showed the wrong thing. Everyone's just very triggered about the winners and losers. Yeah, no, science didn't feature up there. Wrong poll. What do you mean? What? Look, I don't make. This is you lot. Don't blame me for this. This is you lot. All right. Get mad. Wrong poll on Twitter. What do you mean? This is the right poll. I don't even know. Whatever. Let's look at fantasy. Chat needs to calm. This is the problem. When I don't have mods, chat just becomes an absolute cluster. And it's moving mad on the side. Just yeah. Struggle of the weekend's Michael Massey. That's the long and the short of it. But anyway, to be fair, I do actually think I might have forgotten to reset the poll, but never mind. Fantasy League was not good for me this weekend. Was not good. Minus points for Giovinazzi. I forgot. Perez just got automatically given turbo driver. It would have been Gasly, but I mean, great. What did he do? Perez deserves points for his wonderful defending. Okay, he deserved points for that. But yeah, in the top 10% in the F1 Fantasy League, but I mean, not much to write home about this year, to be honest. It wasn't terrible, wasn't great. Is what it is. So we move 80 points. Yeah, minus 11 really did kill me. To be fair, I knew chat would be toxic for this video because of course it will. It's literally the last race of the season, so of course people are going to be toxic. But we move. Okay, what do I want to do next? Right, I want to go back to this screen, and I'm gonna read out some more donos because you lot are far too good to me. Thank you for the super chats. Right, where's the highest ones that I haven't read? There's a few that I haven't got to, so I'm going to go through now. Right, that one's done. They're all done. Beautiful. That's done. Thank you, Louis, for the 179. I don't think Lewis would want a title because of court. I know what you mean. Honestly, I think this whole talk of court procedures and that is more of a... I don't think Mercedes are realistically expecting the result to be changed or overturned, and might not even realistically want that. It's more to send a message and prove a point that I do think needs to be kind of clarified and done, because again, what happened was didn't follow the rules, simple as. So as much as I think the outcome, again, the driver who I think deserved the title over the 22 races won the title, but the way it ended, you can't be satisfied with that. You know what I mean? You can't be satisfied with that. Thank you, Will, for the $5. Building up a decent lead the whole race, then having it undone by inconsistent ruling isn't on. Like, fair dues if Max wins legit, but this is sour. I get it. I understand. And again, if the shoe was on the other foot, be honest with yourselves. You know, if you're going to feel hard done by, of course you are. If this, imagine in an alternative reality where Alex Albon's going for a world title, just saying, imagine if he was leading the race and then what happens, I'd be fuming. Of course I would. Of course I'd be fuming. But that's it. You know what I mean? It has, the rules have to be implemented consistently. Otherwise, like, what is it? What are we doing? Thank you, Mr. A to ZZ2. Is it possible that we might have been robbed of one of the greatest title-winning drives ever from Lewis? Was working wonders on the hards. Lewis drove a perfect race. Like, honestly, like, what more could he have done? Truly, like, in the race, he jumped Max at the start, got a great start. Obviously, you've got the turn, you got the lap 1 incident. We'll talk about that now, actually. So when I watched that initially, you know, I felt like, to be honest, at the time, I was just like, look, I don't want any penalties. Just get on with the racing. Like, no one's crashed. Just carry on. Do I think Max made that move? He's ahead at the apex and of the corner and stays on the track. I do think that was, having looked back at it, looked at the replays, I think it was a late move. It was a dive bomb. He was on, again, soft tyres, brakes in a straight line. Good video from Driver 61 talking about it. You should watch it as well after this. I think it was he made the move. I think he made the move. And I think Lewis I don't begrudge Lewis for doing what he did, and he ended up getting away with it. But I think Max made the move. Honestly, I do. And you know, I've heard. I feel like most of the racing drivers I've heard talk about it, and obviously, you know, I'm a fan. Okay, I'm not a racing driver. I've you know, go-karts is as far as I've gone. Seem to feel the same. You know, he made the corner. If he had gone off the track making the move, Alex? God, wow. I'm down bad, aren't I? Jesus Christ. If Max had made that move and gone and carried too much speed and gone off track, then completely fair. But he didn't. He kept it in the white lines, and Lewis was only able to carry on because there's no, like, if there was gravel there, he wouldn't have been able to do what he did. He'd have had to slow down sooner and cut back. So I do think that, yeah, I do think that's the way it is. Look, there's going to be that. Let's let the people in chat who are just here to spam emojis and crying. Just let them do their thing. It's fine. It's fine. I need to get chat mods. I do actually need to get chat mods. I have too much faith. And some of you lot are just a pain in the arse, alright? Not most of you, but some of you. Right. Hang on a second. because I've got my chat on my streaming thing. I can't see the. Hang on. I'm just gonna put a few timeouts. I accidentally almost moderated someone I was going to put in timeout there. Although it's only timeout for 300 seconds, so they'll be back. Right, okay. Anyway, whatever. We move. Yeah, so you know, I think Max was a bit hard done by with that incident in isolation. But at the same time, if Max had got past, I still think, you know, Lewis had more pace that race. He probably would have, you know, in the pit stops found a way to get past Max in the end. So do I think it was like, do I think it's the end of the world in terms of the outcome of it? No. But again, I do think that that was a bit not chill. Thank you, Elias, for the €5. The regs say any number of lap cars may overtake the SC. Any doesn't mean all according to correct grammar. Any, yeah, but I mean, Elias, like we know what the we know what the, yes, okay, you can be pedantic and go, oh, the grammar actually means if any. We know what, like, the point of the rule is that all cars, lapped cars can, it's either all or none. That is the rule. That is the rule. And the rule wasn't followed. Facts. Simple. Thank you, Nikita, mate. Don't know if there's going to be another stream. Merry Christmas. Been a great season. Looking forward to the more Chinwags in 22. All the best in the new year. Thank you very much, Nikita. Very kind of you. Very kind of you, mate. Right. We've done these ones. Done this ones. Yes, Artec. Wrong poll on Twitter. Yeah, I think I forgot to reset the thing. Oh well. Never mind. We'll never know what you actually thought. Thank you, the King of Onyx. I think what's taken away from this the most is that Merck is still trying to overturn this. Imagine if that happens, Lewis gets 8 like this. I do. Yeah, I mean, I can't. I don't think. Now it's done. I'm just like, right. And I've spoken to quite a few Hamilton fans. I think feel the same now. They're like, it's done. It's heartbreaking, but we just have to like move on now and learn what we can and change what we can going into the future, rather than trying to overturn the decision. Because again, I think the way that would look for the sport would be peak, honestly. Like it would, you know, we're going into this new 2022 season, you know, shiny new regulations, trying to encourage like new teams into the 4 as well and all this, and it's just like, it's just messy, man. It's just so messy. Such a messy way to end the season. I am a Hamilton fan. I mean, I'm a Max fan as well. I like them both. But yeah, thank you, Charlie, for the quid. James, thank you for the 449. Red Bull and Mercedes gambled under safety car. It paid off for Max yesterday. Yeah, literally. Don't disagree. Thank you, Big Kid, for the $5. Does this ending affect how you feel about sprint races? As a new fan, I think qualifying is exciting enough. Sprint stuff is manufactured noise. I don't have a fundamental problem with sprint races. I don't think they're as good as they can be, but I think they've still got potential, and I think competitive Friday running is going to happen. Was always going to happen. So, you know what I mean? That was always going to be the way. Thank you to Ivan for the 20 quid, mate. Thank you. Very generous. I wanted Lewis to win, but I also think Max deserved it, but not like this. A year of less than stellar sportsmanship with all the lunges, winning with such a disregard for the beloved safety rules is a black eye in his title. Look, I mean, I think Max has overstepped in his like aggressiveness, but play to the whistle. He's been, you know, he's been penalised sometimes. He's not been other times. You know, it's a way of driving that, you know, you look back through the years. You know, Senna was one of the most aggressive drivers out there, and it's a fine line. You can't take all of that aggression out of any drive. I mean, Lewis was known for his aggressive driving when he was young as well. And it's one of them that it is a fine line. And I do think, you know, Brazil, it was a clear, like, Max went far too far past. You know what I mean? Like, it's clear as day. But there's been so many. I don't think it leaves a particular stain personally, like that over the course of the season. Again, the only one that I particularly didn't like was the whole. And again, you can never know someone's intent, but the whole kind of break gate at Saudi, that was pretty sus. Yeah, young Vettel, like, look, there's, you know, throughout the history of the sport, you've had drivers, especially like, because you got to remember this sport, yeah, if you had a crash back in the 60s and 70s, your likelihood of death was pretty high. And it's like being able, you know, these drivers now have the confidence in the machinery and the safety of the sport that they can go for these more aggressive moves that, you know, you're never going to get drivers driving like they're on a video game, of course, but you're getting closer to that. I mean, it is what it is. Thank you, Doug, for the 499. A few words. What would be the by-the-book way to handle the end situation? I see so many criticisms, but no simple answer. Well, the by-the-book way is to either safety car and then either don't let the unlapped cars unlap themselves, whatever it is. Don't let the lapped cars unlap themselves. And then go like final lap, and obviously Max would have had to clear like 5 cars before he would have got to Lewis, and that probably wouldn't have happened within a lap. You've got that, but then you've also got red flag. Now, red flag, again, look at the regulations. I posted on Twitter last night about it. It's like, I think there was probably, like, Latifi's car is perpendicular to the track, or whatever. Is that perpendicular? Like, the track's there and the car's there? I don't even know. And it was, I think it was on fire, wasn't it? Because you had the fire marshals spraying it down. I think there's enough, like, interpretation in the rules that you could have red flagged that. So, to me, they were the two fair, or you just let all the cars who have been lapped unlap themselves, and again, by the rules, the safety car has to do an additional lap from that lap, and then it would have finished under safety car. So the two main ways we would have got, the two by the book ways we would have got an actual race over the finish line, is not letting any of the lapped cars unlap themselves, or red flag. And red flag would have been the most exciting end. Red flag's the ideal in hindsight, but I get it. It's very, you know, it's easy to look at this back on hindsight and be like, oh, we should have done that. Have I seen the Toto? Yeah, didn't Toto and Valtteri get on it last night as well? I saw some videos on Twitter. Thank you, Jake. Why can the cars in front of Max unlap themselves, but not the cars in front of Carlos and Yuki, who are still on the lap and just as entitled to win? Because entertainment, essentially. Thank you, Jai, for the $10. Mad respect to you. You were the only YouTuber who was unbiased till the end. Try my best. There's plenty of unbiased YouTubers out there, don't you? We're just fans. I just happen to have this camera, and I like talking, okay, and looking at my big forehead when I edit my videos. But no, thank you, mate. Feel for Lewis, but such is lady luck. it can leave you anytime. Max was a fair champion over the season. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I agree with what you said, apart from the lady luck bit, because was it really luck? That's the thing. It was a conscious decision by a human being, and that's where it's different to, you know, the tyre blowouts, to, you know, there's a conscious decision. Even like Bottas and Stroll at Hungary, taking people out, like, they made mistakes. They didn't consciously go to take anyone out. They made mistakes. This was a conscious decision. So that's why I understand that it you know, leaves a bit more bitter taste in the mouth. Thank you, Dead Flowers, for the 500 Japanese yen. Appreciate it, mate. Me and my mate were kind of bored and joked how tense Mick Latifi battle got, and literally the next moment that crash happened. Oh, man. Yeah, because they had a good little scrap, didn't they? Latifi and Mick, and then obviously Latifi went wides, and he said that obviously because his tyres got dirty, that is kind of what... Because when the car got away from him, like, it did look like just a snap out of nowhere. Like, it didn't look like a predictable slide that could have been caught. I do look. Ultimately, you're going to get people out there. I know Latifi has got a lot of stick online. Schumacher's got a lot of stick as well. These people aren't fans. They're just scumbags. And you're going to get them, unfortunately. People who have very little going on in their lives, very little to be happy and content about. If you're happy and content and confident in yourself and in your life, you don't spread nonsense and attack people online. That's not how it works. I feel sorry for these people who, you know, attack drivers. It's a reflection of themselves. If you do it, you got to look in the mirror, because that's not how someone who is happy and confident and, again, content in their life conducts themselves. But yeah, that was sad to see, but you knew it was going to happen because it's sport and people out there, people like that exist, sadly. Thank you, Craig, for the $4.99, mate. Appreciate it. Craig Blackman, thank you very much. Thank you, Fu Manchu, for the $5. Do you think F1 should have new point system like NASCAR, since there is such a disparity between the lower and the top and lower teams? Well, hopefully there won't be next year. So hopefully that won't be necessary. Obviously, we know next year we're going to get DRS on the cars to start the year, but potentially, hopefully, we won't need DRS by the end of the year, long term going forward. I think they're just keeping it on there as a precaution. Hopefully, we won't need it, and then they can take it off, because the whole point of, you know, these new regs is that it's easier to follow. You know what I mean? Thank you, Kian, for the $4.49. Don't forget that Lewis should have had a reprimand and a 10-place penalty for blocking Mazepin. It's a bit of a swings and roundabouts moment. You know what? I forgot about that, Kian. I've got to be honest. I was a bit like, that felt like a pretty clear reprimandable offence when Hamilton blocked Latifi in practice, because Mazepin. Because Mazepin goes wide and, like, Lewis isn't going quick. Isn't going as quick as he could have. The team communication, blah blah blah. There's all these factors. You know what I mean? I did wonder about that, to be honest. I wasn't surprised he didn't get a reprimand, because then giving him a 10 place, like, but again, if that was a different driver, would they have got a reprimand? If that was Ocon getting in the way of Mazepin, would he have got a reprimand? I think so, personally. I'm not going to lie. I think so. Thank you, Cole, for the $5 Aussie dollars, mate. Thoughts on Nicholas Latifi receiving death threats? Already talked about this. They're not fans; they're just scumbags. It's a sad reality of anonymity that being online gives. people will throw. I don't get it that often. I do sometimes, but it is a minority of sad people who I feel sorry for. So, unfortunately, that will always exist as long as, especially with the anonymity that being online gives you. Thank you, Carl. Have you read the FIA's decision for the dismissal, and do you agree or not? I haven't fully read the decision for dismissal, to be honest. Essentially, I haven't read it myself, but I've seen people talking about and paraphrasing what they've said, and the long and short of it is that the race director has the right to basically do what they want, and that's what Massey chose to do in that instance. Should they? That's the question. That is the question. Thank you, G. Iggy, for the 699 Canadian. What about Article 15.3, giving the race director control over to the safety cars? Well, there you go. That's what I mean. How much should the race director be allowed to overrule any rule? Because again, that's the problem is, you've got the teams who are following the rule book, right? And they will choose to pit or to not pit or to put on a set of tyres and blah, 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 based off what they think is going to maximise their opportunity to win within the rules. Then if you get a race director just be like, no, actually, we're going to do this instead. What are the teams meant to do? You know what I mean? This is for any team. Giving the race director that level of authority over the rules, is it just some rules they should be able to override? Is it all rules? Is it none? I don't know. I do not know. But what I do know is that, again, this season hasn't been good enough. Thank you, Bailey, for the $4.99. Do you think F1 should implement the overtime rule in NASCAR? I'm not familiar with that rule. Overtime, there's too. No, I don't think so. I think there's too many. I don't know how it works in NASCAR, but that seems a bit too up in the air and a bit too open for interpretation for me. The good thing with rules is that everyone should be playing by them, and there's understanding. You know what I mean? Whereas I don't know. I don't think the overtime rule is the way forward. You know what I mean? Thank you, Jesse, for the $5. Thoughts on George Hamilton versus Max Perez next season? George is a very good driver. Lewis, very good driver. Max, very good driver. Perez, very good driver. I feel like the stronger of the two is we just don't know. It's not enough to be so confident that, what level George is going to be. I'm very confident. I think George is going to be at a good level, but there's not enough receipts to be sure. But I think if George delivers on the potential that I think he has, then him and Lewis will be one hell of a pairing to beat next year. To be honest, one hell of a pairing. But yeah, thank you, Elias. Yuki better than Lando. I mean, it's not true, but Yuki was better than Lando yesterday, so that is true. Thank you, Riding and Gaming, for the 19.99 USD, mate. I'm a Max fan to start off with, but I saw a comment on YouTube and I agreed with it entirely. Lewis deserved the win, but Max deserved to win the championship. Max was way more consistent throughout the entire season. Don't disagree. I don't disagree. Thank you, Quantum Mist, for the $5. What an insane season. Hard to say that ending was fair. Even Max fans don't like how he won. But thank you, Tommo, for all the content. Cheers, mate. That's what I mean. Of course, I think you can definitely be a Max fan and appreciate that the win didn't come in the right way, but still be happy about it. And you can be a Lewis fan and be like, well, of course Max fans are going to be happy about it. Like, they've won. And yes, it came in, did Max deserve to win that race? No, but he did. And sport, it's difficult, isn't it? It is a difficult line to tread. But again, if we're going to have honest, genuine discussions about this kind of stuff, we have to like make a concerted, genuine attempts to be objective. You know what I mean? Because otherwise, again, we're just talking into the abyss. It's a dishonest conversation. You know what I mean? You can say karma all you like, but I mean, it's just I don't believe in karma personally. I just think I'm not a very spiritual man. What can I say? Thank you, T, for the 179 and the 449. Guess the FIA have to do what's best for the business of F1. And that's the thing, like, was it best for the business of F1? I don't know if it was. You might have got a bit more excitement in the moment, but all of this after, like, if it had finished under safety car, yes, it would have been a bit of an anticlimax, but that's it. We would have had a winner, and that's it. It's done. If there'd been a red flag, yeah, there would have been a bit of chat afterwards. I think about the legitimacy of bringing out a red flag, but I don't think it wouldn't have the same feeling as this, where it does feel like it was exceptionally. It's just like it was of all the options, it felt like the worst one was taken. You know what I mean? It feels like the worst one was taken. Thank you, King of Onyx, again for the $10. Imagine if Merck win, if they go through the appeal, that would be an awful stain on the sport. Also, the way Lewis's dad reacted made me think Lewis would have retired like Nico if he had won. Sorry, my laptop's about to die, which we don't want. Beautiful. Also, the way Lewis's dad reacted made me think Lewis would have retired like Nico if he had won. I don't think Lewis would have retired if he won the championship. I don't think that would have happened. If anything, this is going to give Lewis even more fight, more energy for next year. I expect Lewis to be on a mission next year, because he's going to feel hard done by this, and it's going to be interesting to see. But to be honest, I can't remember last time F1 was the front of every major newspaper. It's a good point, Scott. It's a good point. They say marketing, there's no such thing as bad publicity. Will it make more people interested for next year? Maybe, I don't know. But again, what's right and what's profitable are different things, you know what I mean? Thank you, Mr. Super Chat Show, for the $20, mate. Appreciate it. I feel like Max has driven better for the majority of the season, but Michael Massey is a clown, and at the very least, I hope he's jobless come next season. And Lewis's incredible streak from Brazil onwards was now a waste. I mean, look, I hope Michael. He just. I just can't. I know some people said like, oh, look, it's not. Massey needs more support and blah blah blah. But it's just like there's been so many incidents over the last 2 seasons. Bringing out, letting cars back out on track when there's still removal vehicles. Like, did we not learn from Jules Bianchi? Like, there's just been like you got marshals running across the track, and it's just there feels like there's been so many incidents over the last 2 years, and it's just like the level of faith and trust. I feel like that's gone. You know what I mean? I just feel like that's not there now. And I think that's an incredibly hard thing to come back from. It's a really hard thing to come back from. Sport is hard, isn't it? I know, that's literally what I said, prison, mate. Yeah. It's difficult, isn't it? Thank you, RP, for the 499. Thoughts on Russell whining on Twitter about Max winning the title, already acting the Merc way and really disrespectful to Max. I mean, disrespectful to Max? I don't know. Look, obviously, George is a Mercedes driver for next year. He's been a part of Mercedes. You know, he's got his allegiance. And the way the race panned out, whatever way you look at it, wasn't like the way it should have. And was it disrespectful? I don't think so. Was he wrong? Not really. I think we all agree that the rules weren't followed. And would he have been as vocal if the shoe was on the other foot and Lewis had benefited and won the championship? Probably not. I will say that. Because of course you're not gonna, you know, if your favourite driver gets done over by a rule, you're going to be super angry about it. If your favourite driver benefits from a rule, you're not going to have the same, like, that's just not, that is bias that everyone's going to have, right? If, again, imagine 2022, just let me dream, all right? Alex Williams, it's a title winning car, and he gets done over in the last race, right? Obviously, I'm going to be livid about it, and if he benefited massively in the last race, I would be buzzing, all right? But can you really hold that against him? Because I just think that's normal. You know what I mean? Like any of us here, you know what I mean? Like if your favourite driver benefited massively, even if you knew it wasn't like the right thing, the fair thing, the sporting thing, whatever you want to call it, like, you're still gonna, like, if West Ham won the Champions League final, Europa League final, which we might, could happen, and it's like a last minute penalty, which definitely isn't a penalty, and Mark Noble scores it and we win it, like, I'm celebrating, mate. I'm going mad. I'm going crazy. All right? In that moment, I don't give a toss. Will I look back afterwards and be like, yeah, you know what? Like, we probably didn't deserve it, but sport. Yeah. But again, I just don't think, yeah, we'll beat Barcelona any day, mate. Mark Noble versus, they haven't even got Messi anymore. Who they got? Barcelona washed, mate. You know what I'm trying to say, okay? You know what I'm trying to say. Yes, Science 2020. Science is very good. Science could win in 2022. It's true. But what I will do is this and then this. There we go. Sorry, I'm slowly getting through all these. You've just all been far too kind. Charlie, thank you for the quid, mate. I think I already thanked you, but thank you again. Thank you, Edward, for the 449. How do we feel the Ferrari boys got on? Do we think Charles is letting his ball slip against... letting his ball slip? I've not heard that turbo phrase before, Edward. Letting his ball slip. That's a new one. That's a new one. Especially second half of the season. Look, I think Charles has driven very, very well this year. I think Carlos has driven very, very well this year. I think, you know, that is huge that Carlos was able to. You got to remember, like, I know some of you are going to get upset with me for saying this, all right? But Charles was clear of Sebastian last year in that Ferrari, okay? And that car, fundamentally, all of the cars fundamentally are the same as last year. The floors changed a bit. Obviously, Ferrari have worked on their power unit. They had a good chassis. Carlos has come in and, you know, qualifying has been beaten by Leclerc. generally pace-wise, he's been a bit off of Leclerc. I do think Leclerc's been the better driver of the two this year. But, and obviously, you know, Carlos has got 4 podiums. His lows have been lower, but his highs have been higher than Charles's. Charles has been more consistently kind of up there. But Carlos has outscored Charles. And, you know, I think Carlos Sainz is a I literally made a whole video about why I think he's underrated. He made some mistakes at the start of the year. You got to remember, like Baku when he locked up. He's had quite a few crashes. Obviously, I know, you know, Leclerc crashed at Monaco, and he's probably winning that race. Over the course of the year, I'd say, you know, Charles has been slightly ahead of Carlos, but it's been super tight. And when you consider this is Carlos's first year at that team as well, just ridiculously impressed with Carlos Sainz this year. Honestly, I said it. I think Ferrari a pole position for 2022 constructors title. And out of the two drivers, honestly, right now I don't know. If you had to tell me right now to pick between Carlos and Charles for if Ferrari can give him a title-winning car, who's going to finish ahead? I couldn't tell you. Obviously, you know, Charles is younger. He's had more time at that team. Ferrari you know, Matthias still seems to be like running his mouth a bit about, you know, oh, Leclerc's our future world champion. Well, hang on a second. Maybe he just does that to fuel Carlos, because Carlos has been great this year. So maybe that's actually working. Maybe we'll see. Thank you, Max Fallis, for the $5. What do you think about banning tyre changes under double yellow/red flags unless there is evidence of a puncture? Yeah, that the red flag again for yesterday's race, the red flag tyre change. Everyone can change tyre rule. I think would have been in that instance specifically. That would have been the best scenario to give the best ending to the race. And the fairest ending to the race, or at least fairer than what happened. But yeah, I mean, generally, I don't really agree with the red flag. I get the point that you can change tyres is that if you've picked up debris, but no, I think to me that's. I don't think that's a necessary component of the red flag rule that you're allowed to change tyres. I just don't think it is. Look, you can argue either way, can't you? Because obviously, if you're, you know, about to pit and then the red flag comes out and then you come in and then you go out again and you have to then come back straight back in, you lose out loads. So I suppose there are two sides to it. I do get it. I understand why it's there. Because yeah, like imagine you're like at the end of your, you know, you've gone long. You lead in the race. Everyone else is pitted. You're leading the race. You've gone long, and then you're about to pit, and then there's a red flag. Then you come in first place, and then everyone comes out, and then you have to pit straight away, and then you go like right to the back of the field. I guess, yeah, it's one of them. I can understand in that instance, you're going to feel incredibly hard done by. So I get it. Thank you, Alonso, for the 200 MX, mate. Thank you. I hope that's not as much as I think it is. Thank you very much, Alonso. Appreciate it. Given that there will be more testing next season, how do you see new and second-year drivers doing? If Red Bull produce a similar quality car next season, I can see Checo going for P3 overall in the World Drivers' Championship. Look, new cars for everyone next year. Everyone, new car next year. So, you know, I think this will be a bit of a reset button. Obviously, we don't know where everyone's going to place relative. It's the most restrictive set of regulations we've had, I feel like, for a while. I think, look, we saw how good Checo was last year. Clear best of the rest in a car that again, in a team, I think Checo's going to be. I think he's. I know some people aren't convinced by Checo, but it was always going to be. It was always going to be an uphill battle for him to jump into that team. You know, Gasly and Albon, they're not mugs. Like, they're good racing drivers. Pierre's proving how good he is, and I just think that it was always going to be a lot to ask of Checo to get close to Max, because Max is that good, and the car is. It's set in his way. He likes a pointy front end like Alonso does. So yeah, I do think it's a bit of a, like Fun Guy says, it's a bit of a level playing field. You know, it'll be interesting to see. I think Max will be closer to Verstappen. Max will be closer to Verstappen. Sergio will be closer to Max. That's what I meant to say. But yeah, I could see Checo being up there. I think Checo's a fantastic racing driver. But will that just how much is that quality pace a him thing, and how much of it is a car thing? How much of it is a Verstappen thing? We don't know. Thank you, Jeff Cott, mate, for the $5. Very kind of you, mate. I appreciate it. Genuinely believe Massey needs help or needs to be replaced. Completely agree. The whole season was a farce for stewarding. Big changes needed. I think Massey leading the line. I think going into this there's been too many high-profile problems to have Massey leading the line going into next year. I don't see how. I don't think that's a good start to the new generation. Like, even if he gets help in and that, I just think that there's been so many shocking decisions over the last 2 years that I can't endorse that. You know what I mean? I'm gonna be sat here calling for a man's head and calling for his job, but you know, it's not a one-off. That's the problem. It's not a one-off. Thank you, Bucci. Why do the safety car laps count as real laps? Thank you for the $1.99. I mean, it's a good question, Bucci. Why do the safety car laps count as real laps? Fuel. That's true, actually. I completely forgot about fuel. Oh, yeah, there we go. I had no wheel knowledge. What am I talking about? Fuel. It's been a long stream, everyone, all right? It's been a long day. Fuel. Yeah, it's true. It is true. It is true. Fuel is a thing. You have to leave, what is it? How many litres of fuel do you have to leave in the car at the end? Kimmy is race director. Look, I'm just saying that Ross Brawn is going to step away from his role at F1 after this year. Could he take over? Maybe. Yeah, 1 litre. Because that's what Seb didn't have, didn't he? When he got his P2 stripped away. Sorry to bring that back to the Vettel fans out there. I apologise. Vettel for race director. Yeah, but he's still racing. But he's not race director, 100%. Right. Thank you, Zakaria, for the 5 Aussie. Overturning the decision would mean nobody wins, nobody is happy at the end of it. Not Lewis, not Max, not the FA, not the sport, not the fans. Agreed. They can't overturn. I really hope they don't overturn the decision. That would be horrible. Thank you, Nicolay. Your science spam. But you did dono. Science 22 World Driver Champion. The Ferrari developed since 2019. He showed how consistent he is and that he is better than Charles. I wouldn't go that far, but he did show that because I rate Charles incredibly highly, but I also rate Carlos very highly. So, but I do think now that he's got a whole season under his belt, I think again them two, if they give the Ferrari boys a title-winning car, I think them two are gonna be at the sharp end. We beat him in points, but if we're just gonna be, oh, you finished ahead of you in points, so you're clearly the better driver. Well, no, life doesn't work like that. It's not as binary as that. You know what I mean? So, thank you, Cool Sushi, for the $4.99. Got an idea that I would like to run by you. Having safety car laps not count to the total laps of... Oh, yeah, we already talked about this. Sorry, Sushi, but fuel. Fuel. I guess unless you had where you would like... You'd make the fuel tanks bigger, and then you'd build it like you have to leave at least 5 litres in at the end, because if you're running a safety car for more than 5 laps, then you should probably just red flag the race. So maybe there's something you could do. You could definitely do it if you just overfueled the cars, or just said, right, the cars have to leave 5 litres in the tank at the end. Maybe, you know what I mean? Because then that would be enough of a threshold. If then there is a safety car, you could be like, okay, if there's a safety car, everyone needs to have this much left. But then does that get a bit messy? Probably. I don't know. I'm just talking about, I'm just speaking aloud, you know what I mean? Thank you, Charlie, for the $5. I think this sets up next year for a great season. New rules, Russell and Lewis fighting for the 8th. Max, going to be intense. You're not wrong, Charlie. You're not wrong, mate. It's going to be good. But yeah, thank you, mate. Thank you, Alex, for the $1.99. Lewis in 22 will come out like he did after 2016. Nothing's going to release the beast in Lewis Hamilton quite like what happened yesterday. So I don't disagree. Thank you, Cameron, for the 644, mate. Appreciate it. Bro, Max, absolutely the better driver on balance over the course of the 22 races, but when did F1 become WWE? Tommo for the win. Not like this. Yeah. I mean, I think Lewis's performance in the second half of this season have been very exceptionally good. He made mistakes at the start of the year, got lucky at Imola, was fortunate at Silverstone, in my opinion. You know, hit the wall in qualified in Russia. Like there were these mistakes, brake magic at Baku, like these things that were more on him, if you ask me, at the start of the year. But his second half of the season, phenomenal. But yeah, over the course of the year, Max, I think, did a better job over the course of the whole year. Nasir, as a JDM fan, you must be happy for Honda. I'm gutted Honda are leaving, man. And I do wonder now, given that they've won this championship, you know, obviously them leaving, that means they brought forward engine updates, which have definitely played a role in Max winning this title as well. So, you know, if Honda had been staying in F1, Max maybe wouldn't have won this championship, and because they wouldn't have brought the changes forward. But yeah, I'm gutted to see Honda go, because I really like Honda as a brand, and more engine manufacturers in F1, the better, if you ask me. So yeah, I'm happy for them, but I'm sad to see them go. Thank you, Taylor. Do you think FIM has a hand in tipping the scales of some of the controversial decisions we've seen this year as a way of generating headlines? I wouldn't be surprised if FIM and Liberty have, you know, given a push towards this entertainment first approach. I don't think it's a coincidence either that, you know, since Liberty took charge in 2017, I know obviously, you know, Charlie was still in charge, but I feel like with Massey coming in as well, maybe they sense an opportunity that, right, now we can, Massey's coming in, maybe now we can start to encourage the race director to be a bit more lenient. You know what I mean? Maybe. I don't know. I can't. That's just me talking, but I wouldn't be surprised. Thank you, Ben, for the 449. Do you think they could have let the lapped cars through on lap 6, leaving 1 lap for racing with the additional lap on the safety car? There wasn't enough time. Because the problem is, the rule is that, again, if you're going to let the lapped cars unlap themselves, you have to let them all or none of them. And if you do let them all, then the safety car, once they're all passed, the safety car has to do an additional whole lap. And that would have, you know, that would have left the race to finish under safety car. So unfortunately, that wouldn't have fixed the problem, I guess. Thank you, Sakada, for the 100 rupees. Hi, Tom, and lots of love from India. We love your insights on your channel. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. You think Alonso stands a chance if given the right car? Mate, listen, Fernando's destroyed my expectations of him for this year. I wasn't expecting a terrible Fernando, but I wasn't expecting this level of Fernando. If they give him a car, Alpine, if they can do it, he could be up there. He knows how to win with that team. That is the team he won his 2 world titles at, remember. But yeah, thank you, mate. Thank you, Gray, for the $5. Tommo, you posted the pre-race. Oh, yeah. Yeah, sorry. I did do that, didn't I? Oh, well, it's the same part. I just forgot to reset the poll. So that's why Kimi still won Driver of the Week. I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry. There's always a problem, and it's just what you come to expect now. Thank you, Riding and Gaming, again for another $20, mate. If Max would have finished at Silverstone and Baku, it wouldn't have mattered. True. But if Lewis is an amazing driver, but he started the season off terrible, but not, yeah. He didn't start off the season great. He will bounce back, but I have to agree, terrible way to end this amazing season. Exactly. Exactly, Riding and Gaming. I agree. Driver of the year. I'm not telling you that. That's going to be on a video. Come on. Come on. Thank you, Ben, for the £5. Enjoyed Adrian Newey saying Red Bull had the faster car this year. Max and CH recently said he would have already won in a Merc. Great work this year, Tommo. Yeah, I think over the course of the year, obviously you've got certain tracks that suit, because you've got to remember these 2 cars are very different. The Red Bull and the Mercedes are very different in terms of their approach. One's low rake, one's high rake, one's long wheelbase, one's short wheelbase. You know, typically longer wheelbase means it doesn't turn around corners as well. I mean, you extrapolate that. You don't, you know, if you get a bus turning around a corner, it doesn't corner as well as a smart car, right? I do think over the course of the season, Red Bull had the stronger package for more of it, but also Max had more bad luck. So, you know. I think at certain parts of the season, I think Mercedes have had the quicker package for these last few races, for sure. But then Red Bull were on top towards the start and for most of the middle, I think, as well. So, but also you just got 2 drivers driving at the. Ultimately, a car is only as fast as the person driving it. So I know that everyone's like, oh, your car's faster than my car. No, your car's faster than my car. No, your car's faster than. It's like, shut up. Your car's is only fast as the person driving it. If no one's driving it, it's not moving anywhere. Okay, if you stick me in that Red Bull around Austria, where it was clearly the quickest package, I'm not even beating Nikita Mazepin. So, just saying. Just saying. Thank you, Random Boss Man, for the $5, mate. Appreciate it. Only issue I have is when people compare Brazil 08s yesterday. Brazil Toyota took a risk with Glock in the rain yesterday. The rules were nice. Yeah, I agree. It's very different. Very different. I know it's, you know, final lap drama, but beyond that, it's not the same. I agree. Thank you, Virginia, for the $6.99 Canadian. Some reports coming out that Lewis alluded to media that he will retire now. Do you think he will? No, I don't think he will. No, he's not going to retire. No chance. Could be a good seat for Piastri. Straight into the Mercedes alongside. Oh, no, it's not going to happen. No, stop it. Stop it, Virginia. Stop it. No, it's not going to happen. Lewis will be back fighting next year, no doubt. Thank you, Fuckboy9000. Great name. For the $6.99 Canadian. I think the spirit of the rule wasn't followed, even if it was by the letter of the law. Yeah, I mean, again, it seems pretty clear to me how it was worded, but I'm just a humble man with a YouTube channel. I'm not a journalist. I'm just a fan who likes talking about Formula One. That's just me. I'm just a guy. Thank you again for another 5 Canadians, well, mate. Top 5 races of the year. Or are you thinking of doing a season recap at some point in the off season? I don't know if I'll do. I'll do some kind of season recap, maybe. Top 5 races of the year, mate. That's hard. That's such a difficult question, man. France, Hungary, Baku because there's drama, Saudi, Abu Dhabi. Like, that's 5, but there's loads of more good ones. I have no idea, to be honest. I ain't got a Scooby. Thank you, Ginger Knight, for the $5. Max Deserve World Drivers' Championship, but lines need to be drawn under Abu Dhabi. Sporting code needs tightening, using 2018 to 21 as precedent under a new race director. Agreed. Thank you, Subir, for the 100 rupees. Thank you, Jeff Cott, again. Another tenner, mate. It's far too good. Stop. Thank you. Couple of things. Thoughts on Massey getting help to replaced? I think replaced. Top 5 moments of the season. God. Ocon winning. Still my top moment of the season. Ocon win. The stress, the anxiety throughout that entire race was far too much for me, honestly. I couldn't handle it. Could not handle it. Thoughts on the new Abu Dhabi layout? Good. I think it's right. Did it make much difference? No. But again, it's for the new regulations. It's not really for this year. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I think top 5. Ocon win. Oh, mate, it's such a long year. Ocon win's the only thing I can think of, but there's so many good ones. Charles Pole in Monaco, that was pretty mad. Thank you, BRG Drew, for the $5. Let's make something clear. The FIA didn't break any of their own regulations. It was unlucky for Hamilton, not unfair. Didn't they, though? So I feel like they did. I mean, the rules quite clear. Now, obviously, is it right that the race director can just overthrow any rule? I don't think so. If it's written in the rules that the race director can, then technically, but is it right? I don't think you can just make up. You can just change the rule. Like, that shouldn't be a thing. You know what I mean? Because the teams are playing by the rules, and if you've got the referee who's playing by their own rules, you know what I mean? I don't think the director's discretion part that's implemented, I don't think the intent is that applies to quite clearly laid out rules. If it's one of these where it's like, it's discretion, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, if something is clearly laid out, then that and it's like it's a black or white issue, then I don't feel like where's the why does there need to be discretion? Ultimately, it's not ideal. 15.3 gives the director that authority. And, you know, does it give authority over everything? I haven't read 15.3. But should that be written in? That if the referee wants, they can just overturn any rule? Is that the job of the race director? I don't think so. Not for me. $15.3 gives authority to control the safety car. But again, it wasn't just the safety car itself coming in earlier than, again, in the rules it is deemed that it should do, but also it's the unlapped cars thing as well. But yeah, I mean, look, if it's in the rules, like, it's in the rules, but does it mean it's right? Does it mean it's fair? Does it mean it's in the spirit of the racing? That's the thing. And it's one of them where you've got to look at this as if your favourite driver's lost out. Do you still feel the same? If you do, fine. Completely fine if you do. But if you don't, then you got to be like, okay, why? You know what I mean? Thank you, Edward, for the 199. Idea. Final 10 laps, either red flag or VSC, no safety car. Yeah, I mean, yeah, again, I think red flag was the way forward, you know what I mean? Bon Low, thank you for the $2. Silly Season 2.0, the steward's contract. Brilliant. Oh, thank you, Craig, for the $4.99. My solution is award co-champions. No, we can't do that, Craig. We can't give them both the championship. No. Imagine that. Imagine. That would destroy all of the historical rulings around F1 around like who's won the most World Drivers' Championships. Well, let's give half a championship each. No, look, I think we've just got to. What happened. We have to learn from it for the future. We can't change the past. What we can change is the future. Yeah, I mean, it's Lewis Hamilton, 7.5-time champion of the world. Thank you, Red, for the $5, mate. Late to the stream. Carlos is goated for beating Leclerc. Carlos is a G for beating Leclerc. He really is. Thank you, Wicked Neutrino, for the $4.99. Mad props to Carlos, Lando, and Esteban. Their futures seem very bright on the driver's side. Hope the FIA sort their BS out. Thank you, Tommo. Thank you, mate. All had good seasons, especially Carlos and Lando. Esteban's good. Had his little bit of a purple patch in the middle, but how much of that was his chassis being cracked? We'll never know for sure, but yeah, I think they all had at least very good years. Well, at least for Carlos and Lando. Esteban had a good year. Thank you, Aspire, for the 1,000 rupees, mate. Appreciate it. Argument for Massey Stan. Not that I'm vouching for it. As a DTS era noob, I could see how Massey brings a role of so-called referee in other games and makes news. Maybe tone down Massey next season to keep the drama for DTS. No, look, I get where you're coming from, but no. We don't. There's what we want, right? When you're watching racing, what we're looking for, okay, on track, is we're looking for exciting wheel-to-wheel racing. Drivers getting close, passing, making moves, maybe doing a bit too much, maybe they come together, it's racing, it will happen. What we shouldn't need, like if the right, watch like V8 supercars, like watch racing series where the driving is super competitive, super close. You don't need these refereeing decisions to create drama because everything's going on track. Some of the best races of all time. Again, someone already said Brazil 2008 isn't like this because it was all done on track. You had, Timo Glock trying to stay on, slick tyres, started raining, lost out, Lewis passes it. Like that drama outweighs, that was genuine. And as much as it hurt for Felipe Massa and the Brazilian fans, that was it. You had to accept it. It was it. Like, it was all done within the rules of racing. And, it was like, that was the purest of racing drama. And the rules were applied evenly and fairly across the board. And that's what I mean. Like, that's what makes Lee. Thank you, Lee, for the $10. The integrity of the sport is in question. It should not have ended the way it did. And that's where we get the whole, what makes a sport a sport? In all sport, it's the rules are applied evenly and fairly to everyone, regardless of context. And when you're cherry-picking decision-making, a referee's cherry-picking decision-making based on, it's the top two drivers in the final race of the season, that doesn't seem right. Like it doesn't. It's not that. That's not a sporting decision. That's an entertainment-based decision. Again, you can't. You like if someone, if someone. I always say this: if someone breaks someone's leg, studs up tackle in the Champions League final in the first minute, you can't be like, oh, I'm not going to send them off. We'll just sub that player on and keep him at 11 versus 11, because it's more entertaining. Rules are rules. Rules are rules. Thank you, Makina, for the Czar, 35 Czar. Please check Twitter by Left Turn Jesus regarding incidents of overtaking other safety cars since 2015. I'll have a look later. I won't get into that now, Makina, but I do thank you for the 35 Czars. I appreciate it. Thank you, Michael, for the 499. New fan, second full season, so forgive my ignorance. I want to like Fernando, but his open disdain for Lewis Hamilton is a major turn-off for me. Look, Fernando and Lewis have history, okay? I said I didn't like the way Fernando conducted himself a lot in the past. Also, it does take two to tango. Lewis wasn't perfect in their McLaren relationship. They do have history there. And look, I get where you're coming from. But also, like, Fernando, again, because when the kind of shithousery, when the one-liners, when it's directed outwards, winding up other teams or criticizing, Fernando's been very, he's not minced his words when it's come to the rules and the FIA, and I've got less of a problem with that than I do. Fundamentally, when a driver is critical of their team, that's very hard for me to look at and have a positive view of it, of any driver, because the team is made up of thousands of people working their absolute asses off. And it's like, to criticize your team is not something that sits well with me. And, he has done in the past, but this Fernando we're getting, you can tell he's 100% part of this team. He loves this team. He's succeeded with this team in the past. And will he succeed with this team next year? Maybe if they give him the car. You know what I mean? But yeah. So do I have an issue with his dislike of Lewis? Not really, because it's just like there's history there, and we don't know. We know what we know, but we don't know 90% of what actually happened. You know what I mean? So yeah, and there's a lot that went on back there. Thank you, James. The 499. I wasn't too happy with the ending, but Max would have had the win if not for that blow. But if Honda is leaving, what engine will they have next year? Well, they're taking the engine into they've set up Red Bull powertrains. That's going to be the official engine supplier. They're going to be powered by Red Bull next year, quite literally. Red Bull gives you wings. They're taking on that engine project, but they've frozen the engine regs, so the Red Bull engine won't change. The engine regs are frozen from the first race of next year, so the engines won't be able to change between then and I think it's the end of 2025. I think 2026 is when we're seeing the new engine regulations come in. I believe that is all correct, but I could be wrong. Where can I buy a Red Bull car? You get one of them minis with the big can of Red Bull on the back. Thank you, Rosalie, for the 499. Honestly, I can't wait until the 2022 chassis testing will go underway, and hopefully it evens out the field, much like early 80s F1. Rosalie, look, the cream will rise to the top, okay? We know F1 isn't a meritocracy. The cream will rise to the top, and tell you what, like, hopefully it does the job. I've got faith. I've got confidence it will. Thank you, Cujo, for the 35 stars. Can we banish Massa to club cars? I don't know what that means, but thank you, Cujo. Thank you, Mikey, for the $5. Any is the actual word used in the regs, and any is not defined as all or none. It means any. Come on now. Come on. The intent is clear. Any in that context clearly means all, but I'm not going to debate on the pedantics of the context of language used in the contracts, because to be fair, the fact that we're having this conversation means that it should be worded clearer, so there is zero. But to me, it's very clear what the intent of the regulations state, you know. Thank you, Joe, for the £2. Top 5 races: Baku, Sochi, Monza, Hungary, Brazil. All very good. Thank you, Vlad, for the £5 Canadian. Don't you think that the same decision would have been made on the last lap if Verstappen was in the lead? Don't you think the same decision would have been made? No, I 100%, and maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. You can't tell me I'm wrong because you don't know either. But I 100% think if the shoe was on the other foot, Max was leading that race throughout, and Lewis, you know, was behind them. I think the FIA would have done the exact same thing. I do. That is what I truly hand on heart believe. I think they would have done the same thing. I think they would have done the same thing to maximise the entertainment value of the ending. I don't think they're biased one driver or the other. I think, you know, because you can't claim the FIA are biased. Like, if you're saying the FIA are biased, you're implying that throughout the season there has been a continuous favouring of one side. And that's just not the case. That isn't the case. That's clearly not the case. Like, you can't say that Max, like, they're biased towards Max because they gave him this, but then also be like, oh yeah, but well, so what about Silverstone with like Lewis and all the brouhaha after that? You know, Lewis went on to win the race and they didn't. You know, Red Bull tried to, you know, get stuff done afterwards, and the FIA were like, no. To imply bias means like you are taking your preference for something, and you are not just it's not just having a preference. Bias doesn't mean just to have a preference. Like, you can be a fan of a driver and not be biased. They're different things. To be biased is to let that personal attachment skew your perception of reality. And that's just not the case as far as I'm concerned. You can come up with as many incidents where you think the FIA have been harsh on Mercedes, but then you can come up with almost maybe as many. I don't know. I'm not going to list through every single incident this year, but you can't say there's been 100% one way or the other, so they're not biased. You know what I mean? It's just they want to maximise the entertainment products of the sport, and I think that's something we can all equally, you know, speak up against, because I don't think it's right. But yeah. Anyway, thank you, Stephen, for the £5. Why did Perez get pulled under the SC? He seems very confused. Was it tactical? So my understanding of why they pulled in Checo was that they were a bit worried about his, I think it was oil pressure that he eventually got, was his official reasoning. But I think they were just worried about him breaking down on track. So rather than let him finish the race, pull him in to make sure that he can't break down on track and then cause a VSC or a safety car. That's my understanding. Because then, I guess, yeah, because when Checo came in, the safety car was already out, right? I think. I can't remember. Was it? But if it was, then obviously if Checo then broke down on track, then it would have definitely finished under safety car. Because you would have had a Red Bull that also had to get. Yeah, it was. So yeah, that must be why, because they were worried about Checo breaking down. So they were just like, no, get in the pits. So that, because obviously it's in Red Bull's best interest that that safety car comes in as soon as possible. Opposite for Mercedes. So, thank you, T, for the 179. Why does Alonso always want to take a shot at Lewis? Because they've got history. They, you know, they've locked horns many times in the past, and you know, I'm sure there's a multitude of things that went on in the background that we'll never know, and just is what it is, isn't it? Thank you, Thomas, for the 298 SGD. Reckon Merc will go back to silver next year. I think that is the plan. Pretty sure that's the plan, to go back to silver next year. Thank you, Kalugar, for the 20 kroner. Top 3 most boring races of the season. Oh my god, really? Oh god, how do I answer that? Barely any of them have been boring. There has been a few boring ones, but I can't think of them off the top of my head. Go on, tell me, chat. Turkey? Kinda. Zandvoort? Spa was, it literally wasn't a race. That is very fair. It literally wasn't a race. Oh, brilliant. Thank you, Makina, for the 35s. I don't think they were biased of one driver or the other, but the potential outcome of Max as champion under the Abu Dhabi circumstances swayed them. Yeah, but that still implies they were biased towards Max, though. Like, that implies that the potential outcome of Max as champion influenced their decision, which I don't think that did. I think it would have been the same if the I don't think bias came into it. I just think it was a bad call. An entertainment focused call rather than a sporting focused call. In my opinion. There you go. Thank you, DBK, for the 250 AED. Out of all the rule bending all year, how much of this sour grapes from LH fans rather than sporting integrity? Does Max deserve the championship? What are Mert looking to achieve in this appeal? If you were Massey, final lap SC, or this is motor racing? Well, look, first of all, let's not generalise Lewis Hamilton fans or Max Verstappen fans, okay? Every single driver fan base has a toxic extreme of people who are scummy and horrible and aren't interested in nuance or discussion. Every driver has it. Every football team has it. Every, baseball team. I don't care, right? That's just unfortunate part of sport, isn't it? But look, if it ended under a safety car, it wouldn't have been the most exciting way of course, it wouldn't have been, it wasn't the way anyone wants to see the season finale finish, but and it didn't have to end on the safety car. But again, it's like, how much power should the race director just be able to, change rules up willy-nilly in the moment? I don't think they should. Thank you, John, for the $5. Of all the season where Charlie White and judgments were needed most, I think Massey was under too much pressure and lobbying from leading teams. Again, I don't like the lobbying. We've already talked about that. Don't like the lobbying. I do also think, I don't actually know off the top of my head how big the team is that Massey kind of works with to make their calls. I know we usually see like there's Massey, there's the stewards. Does he? I think it is just him as the race director. But whatever it is, whether it's just him, whether he's got other people, like whatever is happening right now isn't clearly working. Clearly. Right, I'm just going to go for a few more, the last few super chats, people, and then we'll quickly go through all the drivers. We're almost at 2 hours now. Damn. But you lot have been mad generous, so I do really appreciate it. Thank you, Jai, for the $5 USD. They should make a rule that if there is safety car in the last 5 laps, it's a red flag. No race should finish under safety car liberty. Make it happen. I'm sure there's some cons to that, but on the face of it, maybe. But again, the thing is, a red flag is a safety thing. It's not a sporting thing. So using a red flag as a sporting thing when it shouldn't be coming out, it wouldn't come out in normal circumstances. I don't know how that feels. I don't know how that sits with me. You know what I mean? Did someone donate 60k USD? No. Imagine. That would be nice. Liam, what's your stance on what happened? Oh God, Liam, you'll have to watch it back, mate. I've been on stream for an hour 54 minutes. Sorry, buddy. I'm not okay. But thank you for the 179, mate. I appreciate it. And thank you, McKenna, again for the 35 stars. What was clear that Michael understood that, to be fair to both drivers, leaving unlapped cars as it was best, but then caved due to what? I mean, it's ultimately he changed his mind. Even if he had let the unlapped cars, had let the lapped cars unlap themselves straight away, still don't think there would have been time. There wouldn't have been time for the safety car to do another lap, and the race not finish on the safety car. But who knows? That brief period of time between saying that the lapped cars can't overtake and that they can, who knows what happened in that time period? Not me. But yeah, interesting. Right, okay, we're going to quickly go through the drivers now, and then we're going to wrap this up. I am still streaming. I know. My voice is quite sore now because I've literally been talking non-stop for an hour 55. Lovely. Yeah, go and watch the Drive 61 Scott Mansell video after this. Yeah. Anyway, right. Max Verstappen wins the race, wins the championship. Already said it. He did what he could, got jumped on the start. Lewis drove the perfect race, really, but it didn't go his way. Carlos Sainz P3, fantastic. Again, I didn't have a Scooby. Carlos had finished P3 until after the race, and I was like, what? I think I saw him post on Twitter or Instagram, and I was like, hang on a second. That doesn't seem right. Yuki Tsunoda P4. Yuki Tsunoda P4. Yuki, my guy, my boy. So happy for him. He's had such a long, difficult season, but finally things have come up. It's just a nice way to end the season. Don't get me wrong, Pierre's been a class above him over the course of this season, but it's a nice way to end the year. It's a very nice way to end the year. Great move on Bottas. Again, go and find it on Twitter. Yeah, great job. And again, Pierre Gasly, one place behind, P5. Really good day for AlphaTauri. Great way to finish the season. I do wonder how much they'll share the Red Bull platform with this new regulation change, because, you know, Toro Rosso have generally kept close, but in recent years they've become a bit more separate from Red Bull, more of a sister than a junior team. Will that be the case in 2022? Because again, how does that work? Like, you got two teams, you know, do they both work together, pool their resource, almost become one team, and then create a super car that they share? That would probably not be in the spirit, well, definitely wouldn't be in the spirit of the new regulations, but would I put it past them trying? No, I wouldn't. I would not put it past them trying. Bottas P6, not a good final race from Valtteri at all. But we'll see if Bottas 2022 can get back to his own ways, you know what I mean? His old ways, should I say, of the Williams days, where he was best of the rest. He was a Sergio Perez, you know? Remember Sergio Perez last year? That was Valtteri Bottas in like 2015-16. So we'll see. Lando Norris P7. He had a puncher, didn't he, at the end? He got a slow puncher. Had a slow puncher, which didn't help. Obviously got jumped at the start by Sergio. Considering he qualified P3, it's not a great result for Lando, to be honest. I feel like if this was at the start of the season, he probably would have converted it. But again, slow puncher, didn't help. Didn't help at all. Fernando Esteban. It's a good day in the office. You know, Alonso had the better race. Ocon got into Q3. Fernando didn't, but Alonso made the long... He started on hards, didn't he? Him and Gasly started on hards. And look, Gasly went from P12 to P5, and Alonso went from P11, 13? I can't even remember where Alonso qualified. I think it was 11, wasn't it? Because he just missed out to Ricardo. Did have gearbox issues. Oh yeah, Lando did have gearbox issues as well. Yeah, it just... Alonso's had a lot of bad luck this second half of the season, definitely. But yeah, Alonso and Gasly both made the hard tyre work at the start, and that strategy ended up, paying dividends. Gasly closed right up to Tsunoda. Alonso jumped Ocon as well. So, oh yeah, this is definitely the longest post. We've just gone over 2 hours, everyone. Bloody hell. Leclerc P10, he missed out with the... didn't he pit on the VSC and then couldn't make up the places on the mediums, I think? God, so much happened. I'm struggling to keep up to date, to be honest. My brain is only so big. The stewards need stewards. But yeah, ultimately, oh yeah, it was a bad pit stop. Yeah, he had quite a slow pit stop, didn't he, Charles? But yeah, Sainz on top at the Ferrari boys today. Vettel P11. What happened with Seb? I know he made a move against Lance at the start of the race. Better race pace than Lance, had Daniel Ricciardo in between them. Do I have much to say about Seb? I didn't really see much of him. I mean, yeah, their car wasn't great. I think afterwards he said they had good pace, but they were just too far back to do anything. So, yeah, shame for Seb, but promising. I think he's shown good signs this year, Seb, and I think if Aston Martin can give it a good car, I think I have more faith in Seb bringing out the best of it than I do Lance. Daniel Ricciardo P12. Don't really know what to say about Daniel either. I think he had some issues at some point in the race, but I mean, he was still well off Lando ultimately, and Lando had issues as well. So I don't know. Not a great season from Ricciardo overall, but hopefully it's a better end. How am I still alive somehow? Oh yeah, Seb won the overtaking award. Fair play. Well done, Seb. Lance. Nothing to say. Schumacher. Nice seeing him actually battle with another driver. To be fair, considering how bad that Haas is, if you've got a Williams battling with it, then that says as much about the Haas as it does about the Williams. Or maybe the driver. I don't know. But, yeah. Mick had a decent showing. You know what I mean? I think he did a right job. Sergio Perez. I want to talk about Sergio for a bit. Because I'll tell you what. This was a prime example, right? If Sergio could qualify P3 or P4, you could see at the start of this race, Lewis and Max and Sergio were gapping the rest of the field. Perez was holding on to the back of Max. He wasn't quite at their pace, but he was much closer to them two than Carlos Sainz was to him. So actually, like, Checo's race pace at the start was very, very good. And again, it was one of them that if he could sort out qualifying, if he could have qualified higher, because he just consistently gets stuck behind cars. That's what happened with Bottas yesterday as well. He qualified poorly, fell down to P8, and then really struggled. You know what I mean? But yeah, Checo, wonderful job. And then obviously kept the softs on. Lewis pitted, came out like 11 seconds behind. Checo charged the batteries, got his defensive line up, and it was spot on. Checo was phenomenal defending against Lewis. Always giving enough space, but not letting Lewis past. Compromising his pace massively, because the whole point was to let Max catch up, and Max did catch up. And Perez did a fantastic job on the old defence against Lewis, just like Fernando did a fantastic job defending to protect Ocon at Hungary. Perez did a great job defending to help Max give him a chance of winning. And obviously we know the safety car all would have happened anyway, but not necessarily. The butterfly effect of Checo holding up Lewis, you don't know how that would have changed the race. So ultimately, GG Sergio. Smashed it. And, again, Sergio retired because Red Bull didn't want to risk. They were worried about his car and they didn't want to risk him breaking down under the safety car, therefore prolonging the safety car. So they just brought him in because they were like, Checo, we think there's a problem with the car. Let's just bring you in rather than keep you out. Then you break down, elongates the safety car, and then Lewis definitely wins the title. Yeah, all pressure, something like that. Don't worry, I'll be finished soon. Just go through these last 5. Latifi. Battling with Mick. Dirty tyres. Hit the wall. Calls the safety car. I don't envy how he must be feeling after this. You know, it must be tough for Nicholas because obviously he knows that the impact of that incident, you know, drivers crash all the time. It happens. It's racing. But I do feel really sorry for him. I know he's got some, obviously you're going to get scumbags who give him stick online. Again, it's a sad part of the anonymity that social media gives you, is that it makes people feel like they can say what they want to people, and you know, too guilty of not considering and look at these people as actual human beings because you only see them on the telly. But actually, you know, it's not nice. It's not. I don't get much. I've got some stick in the past, which has been pretty, you know, hurtful. It's not nice. It's not fun. But you know, it's just a sad reality of social media and the world we live in at the minute. But yeah, I think sad way for the season to end for Nicholas. Ultimately, it's been a better year. I still don't think it's been a great year for him, but I think it's been a step in the right direction. I do wonder how high his ceiling is. I'm not convinced. I still, like, Alex has to come in and beat him consistently next year. I do genuinely think he will, but we'll see. We will see. Giovinazzi, final race of the season. Again, he broke down as well. Not the way he would have wanted to see it end, but credit to Antonio. He spent way more time talking about how sad it is that Kimi's retiring than he was talking about his own departure from F1. He hopes he can get back. Would I like to see him back? I'd be happy to see him back. Do I think he deserves? I think there's so many good drivers out there who you could make an argument deserve a seat more than him. To be honest, I don't think he's done enough in his F1 career to really stamp his authority, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? But Alex will crash him. George Russell got a bit of debris stuck in his airbox above his head, which made the engine overheat, so had to retire. Sad way for his Williams career to end, but he has been a fantastic... Look at where they've come since 2019. That shocking 2019 car. Look at where Williams is now. He, you know, put it on a podium. I know it wasn't a proper podium, but a podium nonetheless. Yeah, I think George has been a fantastic servant to Williams, and hopefully Alex can pick up the torch and carry that on. Raikkonen, I think there was a problem actually that caused his rears to lock up. I'm pretty sure there was a problem causing his rears to lock up. That wasn't actually his fault necessarily, but sad way for it to end, but typically understated. Was it brake by wire? Yeah, there we go. Yeah, because the way that car just like that wasn't him. He did mention something about a wheel nut as well, so I don't know if maybe that was kind of part of it as well. But yeah, shame for it to end that way. But I'm sure Kimi wouldn't have minded. And end of an era, Kimi Matthias Raikkonen. It's been a pleasure, mate. And obviously, yeah, Mazepin didn't race because he had COVID. So there we go. Zigo Sport is also no more for the F1 comms, which is pretty mad. I don't really have an opinion on it because I'm not Dutch. I don't watch Zigo. Thank you, Sean, for the $5. What do you think of Seb versus Alonso title fight if they both had good cards next year? The thing is, like, I feel like the chance of there being two main protagonists going for it next year, I hope is quite low, because I'd like to see, as much as it's been fun this year, I think there'll be a few drivers up there, definitely. But I think, you know, I'm more confident in Alonso being able to deliver the performance, but we know if Seb is comfortable in a car, he can drive like not many other people can. But I have more confidence that Alonso would be able to extract performance out of anything he's given. Thank you, Samantha, for the $6.99 Canadian, mate. Appreciate it. I've seen Canadian GP is one of your favourite tracks. Will you ever come out to watch one in person? I just bought my tickets for 22. I think we might be there for 2022. So yes, Samantha, yes, that is the plan. Because me and Hannah are getting married 2 days after the race, so in Canada. So hopefully, that is the plan. Hopefully. Right. We're done. 2 hours, 11 minutes is long enough. Far more than long enough. I knew this stream would be long. I didn't think it'd be this long, but thank you all so much for coming. The main reason it was so long because so many of you were so generous in the super chat, which I do honestly like massively appreciate it. Far too good to me. I've got a video I need to finish editing tonight that will be coming out hopefully on Wednesday. And yeah, it's been a pleasure. It really has. You know, I love doing my watch-alongs, and next year these are going to be even better. I promise. I want to level these up as much as I can within my kind of remit of just me and the camera. Minton time. Yeah, you know what? You can have some Minton time. I'll grab him in a minute. But yeah, honestly, thank you all so much. Like, it's an absolute honor to be able to do this for my job. And yeah, man. When am I going to do my 22 predictions? Well, the thing is, we've got nothing to go on, so there's no point me doing my predictions anytime soon because I'm literally just going to be complete shot in the dark. So I think I'm just going to wait until testing rolls around, and then I will, yeah, then I'll bring out the predictions for next season. But give me 2 secs, and I will, yeah, I'll grab Minton. Here he is. Here he is. Minton dog. Sausage. Here he is. Oh, your breath stinks, mate. You're going to need another toothbrush, mate. Got a little toothbrush for him and some toothpaste. But he needs it again. He's just been sleeping. Of course he has. You always sleep, don't you? But yeah. Next year's, like, don't you worry, like, I'll be bringing more live streams, yeah, I think live streams are going to be a big part of next year, a bigger part of what I do, because I really enjoy these, and I'll get some more mods, to, maybe I'll do applications for moderators, watch this space. Oh God, you are tired, aren't you, mate? Well, now is a good time to wrap it up, I think. Again, thank you, honestly, all so much. I know I can't, you know, I'm not going to meet 99% of you in my life, but, like, your collective generosity and the time that you give to me is just amazing. And, yeah, next year's going to be different gravy, I promise. Everything's going to take a step in the right direction. The podcast's going to be coming back as well. The relaunch of the podcast, the first guest I've got is quite the guest. And yeah, it'll be fun. But yeah, cheers all for coming. I'll see you video Wednesday, maybe Thursday. probably Wednesday. But yeah, say bye, Minton. Say bye to your adoring fans. I know you're only here for him, which I don't blame you for, but yeah. Cheers all for coming. Stay safe, be happy. Don't be toxic online. Stay hydrated. And yeah, goodbye for now. Thank you, JD Moosley, for the $50, mate. Jeez, far too kind, mate. Very kind of you. Cheers, JD. Cheers all for coming. I'll see you soon. Goodbye.